Good morning, team. It is Tuesday, October 19th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amy Kaur, and I'm joined by Kevin Van Eck, and we are live out of the Goose Island office. So yesterday, we wrapped up our second session for business planning, going over your financial plan and your marketing plan. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into marketing, touching on the 32 touch plan and how you can implement it for next year. So I've got my coffee. Grab your drink of choice this morning and let's jump into the latest episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Yes, Amy, good morning. I've got my coffee. Hopefully all of you out there do too. Thank you for watching. Coffee, tea, lemon water, power smoothie, everything else. Hopefully you're enjoying something because we've got a great episode. We're talking about marketing and specifically the 32 touch program. We're going to show how touching your database, this is your sphere of influence, the people that already know, like, and trust you, touching them 32 times a year is going to have the biggest results. When you focus your time on the people that already know, like, and trust you, you're going to generate more referrals, foster more relationships. It's going to be more genuine, and it is more inexpensive, and it is also more efficient. So, like Amy mentioned yesterday during her hot tips for marketing, we're going to focus on those that know, like, and trust us. And I know that 32 touches a year seems overwhelming for each one of these people. Well, we're going to go into who those people are. And then we're also going to break it down into monthly, quarterly, and annual actions that you can easily do by planning them out now so that 2022 runs smoothly and you have a marketing plan to follow that generates results.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. You know what I love so much about this program is that when you first tell somebody that they're going to have to reach out to somebody 32 times, all of these individuals, their eyes go crazy because it sounds so overwhelming. But what I love about this is that once we break it down, it is actually such an easy program to follow. And once you get it into your calendar for the year, it's kind of like a set it and forget it. And there are so many agents that have adopted this program and have seen huge changes in their own personal business because they've really focused on the people that matter the most. So as a part of this program, so many people want to know, who should I be focused on for my 32 touch program? And we talk about your sphere of influence, but I want to get a little bit more specific. I want you to think about your A's and B's, and then also dialing into a good portion of your C's, because your hope is that the C's know you relatively well, and your goal is to try and move them into the B or A category at some point in time. But people still kind of look at me and say, well, okay, but still, what does that mean? So I like to actually bring it down even further into more of numbers. I think the sweet spot for this program, depending on how long you've been in the business, is having anywhere from 100 to 300 people in this program. Okay, you can do more if you want, but I'd rather you have a more targeted, smaller group where you can focus on hitting them more times or going deeper into a relationship with them, as opposed to going wider, meaning adding more people to this and then getting overwhelmed and not being able to make sure that you actually do the outreach that you need to. So when you think of 100 to 300 people, again, put in all of your A's and your B's and probably a good portion of your C's, depending on who they are. And all of you should have at least 100 that you can use for this program. So now the next thing that you need to think about is you want to make sure that for this program, you've got their email, their phone number, and their mailing address. You've got to make sure that you have all of their contact information because you are going to be hitting them in a couple of different ways. So you need to be able to reach out in different methods. Okay. So these are the people who do know you, like you, and trust you, some more than others. But the intention in this program is to develop stronger relationships in the long term with these people. And it has been proven through this program that if you reach out 32 times to an individual in your sphere of influence, you've got a 6-to-1 ratio as far as referrals go. That means for every 6 people that you reach out to on this consistent of a basis, you will get 1 referral. Now, that is amazing when you think about some of the other ways that you try to get business. If you're thinking about farming, for example, and let's say you want to do a 12-month postcard, so you're hitting them once a month, that is a 50-to-1 ratio. That means for every 50 people that get your postcard once a month, you will get 1 referral from that. So that's a 50-to-1 in comparison to the 6-to-1 that we're going to be helping you with. Let's think about lead generation. If you were going to go ahead and buy leads on Zillow or through some other program, that conversion ratio is an average of 100-to-1, which means you have to have 100 contacts or people in front of you in order to get one conversion. So it takes a lot more to actually get a referral, not to mention that when you're getting leads online, you're probably paying for them. So if you're focusing on your sphere of influence, I'm guaranteeing that you will see a much faster return and your business will grow faster.
Yes, I love that. Now that we have who we are going to reach out to 32 times, we're going to set the baseline. And in fact, of the 32 touches annually, we're going to rip out 24 of them right now with 2 very simple actions. Now, as we get into the baseline, one thing I want to point out is that these people already know, like, and trust you, right? So when we start talking about content, sometimes we get paralyzed. What are we going to send in an email? What are we going to put in the postcard? Here's the jam. Our goal is for our sphere of influence, the people that already know, like, and trust us, to literally see our name, face at properties, delete or throw it away. That is it. That is the reminder we are trying to set. That is the exposure we're trying to get. And that is well worth what we pay for what we're going to send. So let's go back to the 32 touch plan. The first baseline is an email monthly. If you're with App Properties, you have the e-campaign. If you're not with App Properties, you have to find another system or another way to kick out one email a month at a minimum to be able to get in front of them through email. Don't focus on opt-outs. Don't focus on all the nitty-gritty. This is a send it and forget it. And if they do opt out, if someone that's an A or someone higher opts out, just know that you're going to have to ramp up the rest of the 32 touch program as we go through it. Let's go to the second one, which is direct mail. Direct mail is not dead. At App Properties, we have a monthly direct mail program. You literally sign your people up and do nothing after that. They will receive a postcard monthly where you don't need to create the content. You don't need to do anything at all other than updating your database, adding more people to your sphere of influence, the people that know, like, and trust you, and the content goes out. If you don't have access to that automated direct mail program, no problem. Focus on sending something monthly through mail that they can physically hold in their hand, see your name, face, and App Properties, and then throw it away. 7 seconds of glory is well worth the 80 cents, 85 cents that you might pay for that postcard. The reason being is there's no other way to really get something in their hands that inexpensively where they see your name, face, and App Properties. So now the baseline, 2 things: send a monthly email and also send a monthly postcard.
That is great stuff, Kevin. And I absolutely love it because boom, 24 out of the 32 already done. And what I always say about those 24, the electronic or monthly campaign that they're getting in their email and the direct mail, that's like you just showing them that you have a pulse, that you are in real estate. That's all that you want. The remaining 8 touches that Kevin and I are going to break down now are what really counts. So I want to talk about the next 4, and those are your quarterly authentic outreach. So now what you want to calendar or be ready to do is that for each quarter, and there's 4 of them, you are going to plan on doing authentic personal outreach to everyone who is in this 32 touch plan. So let's say you've got 100 people that you have and you're focusing on for this 32 touch plan. Then in Q1, you are going to make sure that you reach out to all 100 of them personally. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can do it by email, which in my opinion is least preferred because everybody's email gets so bogged with so much information. The odds of them not really seeing it are a lot higher than some of your other options. So I would really prefer that you focus on a warm text outreach. You can do that as your quality touch for the quarter. A personal note card, that goes a long way. And I know a lot of agents who do this program definitely integrate personal note cards in their quarterly outreach. The other option is a phone call. And I know, again, some people don't love the phone call, but here's what I will also tell you. You can use slide dial. And I know people don't love slide dial when they do this either, but if you approach using slide dial by simply calling that person and saying, hey, listen, I intentionally wanted to leave a voicemail because I know you're so busy during the workday, but I wanted to reach out and I'd love to connect live when you have a minute. So give me a call. I'm around around all week or I'm around all weekend. All right. So intentionally tell them you purposely went to voicemail, but that you wanted to be able to reach out and connect. Them being able to hear your voice goes a long way. So now if you're going to be doing this personal outreach 4 times a month, what you're going to need to do is figure out. So quarter one is January 1st through March 31st, right? So you're going to have to make sure that in those 3 months, you're taking those 100 people and you're finding time in your calendar to reach out to each of them personally. So calendar it. If you're taking 3 months and you've got 100 people, that's roughly 33 people a month that you need to reach out to. That's approximately 1 a day. So when you kind of break that down, it's really not that bad. So think about how you're going to do it. And I would also encourage you to mix it up each quarter. So if Q1, you decide you're going to do phone calls, which I would heavily encourage, and I would encourage you to try and do it in January, because that's when people are thinking about listing and you want to get in front of anybody who's thinking about doing something in the new year. So Q1 could be phone calls. Q2, you could plan on doing a personal note card to your 100 people. Q3, you could do a warm text. And then maybe Q4, you wrap it up with another nice phone call talking about the new year, what's going on for the holidays, etc. You decide what it is, but most importantly, you calendar it and you know that you've got to do an authentic personal outreach for each individual on this list for every quarter. And one last hot tip, if you don't know what to talk to them about, use social media. People post things on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and they're telling you what's going on in their life. If they're posting it, it's fair game for conversation. So make sure to use social media as your friend when you're going down your list of people. And one last quick tip, don't overthink who you're going to call when. Start with the A's and go down to the Z's. All you have to do is make sure that you knock it out. Once a quarter, 4 times in the year, an authentic touch to each of these people in your 32 touch plan.
We're almost wrapped up with the 32 touch plan. Remember how maybe overwhelmed you felt when we first said 32 times a year? Think about it. We've got almost all of them wrapped out. We got one last category, and those are the extra special outreaches. This is really where you probably will make the most impact from a relationship standpoint. This is where you should spend the majority of your time and energy. Most of what we've talked about already, especially with the baseline, you do nothing. You set it up and it goes out. In the last case, what Amy was talking about, the outreaches, the quarterly, a different outreach each quarter, that also shouldn't take a lot of time, especially if half of them are texts and note cards. So let's talk about the extra special outreach. These are things like a client appreciation party. These are face-to-face interactions where you can create an impact. Now, when we think of client appreciation parties, sometimes we think of how expensive they can be. We have to spend a ton of money. That's not the case. That's not what's going to necessarily create the impact. It's you being face-to-face with people, seeing them. Another option or idea you could have, and a lot of agents are doing these, are reverse pop buys. This is where maybe you have a pumpkin or a pumpkin pie or something in the spring, maybe flowers, where you have your database come to you. A lot of agents have done this with ice cream recently, where you've partnered with maybe an ice cream shop or a donut shop, and you've put out to your sphere, come and meet me at this day and time and get a scoop of ice cream on me. It's super inexpensive overall, but could have a huge impact because you are seeing your people. And lastly, something we talked about in business planning yesterday, and something we've talked a lot about over the last couple of months, is the real estate review. The reason being, it's real estate review season. It's the end of the year. We're coming off of a hot market this year, and we don't see that ending. However, you have a lot of good news you could provide. So the real estate review, extra special outreach, it doesn't need to take a lot of time. Sometimes when you think about a real estate review, it may mean you're thinking you're going to sit there for an hour and do a CMA. That's not the case. As we've talked about in coffee, as we've talked about elsewhere, the real estate review is a 10-minute meeting that takes you 10 minutes to prepare, and you can rip these out. And the goal isn't to push people into selling. The goal is to make a connection, foster the relationship, provide value, and also generate referrals. So by going through the 32 touch plan, if you touch everybody 32 times, Amy said it, you have a 1 in 6 ratio. That means that with volume, if you have at least 100 people in your database, for every 6 people you touch 32 times, you're going to get 1 referral a year. Add that up. add in your average commission. It's a lot of money, right, Aim?
Yep, a lot of money. And it's not just about the money, but it's about the relationships that you are building. Again, this is the idea of going deeper, not wider. So many people want to go wider and spend all of their marketing dollars on being able to farm different areas. I can honestly tell you, if you focus on deepening the relationship you have with the people who already know you, your business is going to grow so much faster.
And one more thing, team. In the email where you receive this episode of Coffee, there's an attachment there where you can map out, you can plan your 32 touch plan. It's really easy to do. You can type into it. It's in Excel. And if you don't have access to that email, email Amy and I at coffee@atproperties.com. That's coffee@atproperties.com. And we'll kick that 32 touch planner out to you.
That's right. We'll make it a great Tuesday. Get working on your business plan, and Kevin and I will look forward to seeing you next week on Coffee.
Make it a great day, everyone.
Bye, team.